Hi there, and welcome to Upcycled Adulting Reclaimed Midlife, where I am here to help you reclaim your midlife and navigate perimenopause and menopause. Today, we're going to be talking about probably the most talked about menopause symptom ever, and that is weight gain. I'm going to explain exactly why perimenopause and menopause are often accompanied by weight gain and also how to manage it. So, I will share the top 5 reasons you're gaining weight and the top 6 ways to manage it. So, let's get started. The number one reason why you are probably struggling with weight gain in perimenopause is because of hormone fluctuations. Now, during perimenopause, it is not as simple as our hormones are just declining. It's actually a whole lot of roller coaster hormones. And that explains why we have such a variety of symptoms throughout each and every day, throughout each and every week, and each and every month. They can be completely unpredictable, but the most predictable symptom of perimenopause is weight gain. And going into menopause, we often continue to see those numbers on the scale go up. With declining estrogen and declining progesterone, in menopause, we are actually finding ourselves packing on more and more pounds. And that can be so frustrating. If we're not seeing a drastic increase in the scale, we're probably seeing shifts in where the weight is. So, for example, I happen to have a little bit of a more curvy body type. And one of the first things I noticed was a shift to carrying weight in my abdominal region. And that is incredibly common when we go into perimenopause and menopause. The number two reason why you're going to see changes in your weight is lifestyle change. Oftentimes, when we come into midlife, our lifestyles change drastically. We may not notice it as it's happening, but we're probably moving a lot less. Reasons for this can be that our career changes mean that we are sitting more at work, or that having our children get older or even launch means that we are less busy and less active with them. For example, I have 5 kids. When they were all living at home, I was carting around baskets of laundry. I was cooking for 7 people. I was in and out of my car, in and out of all kinds of activities, walking back and forth a lot. And that kept me very, very active. Oftentimes, as our kids get older, our activity levels decrease. They start driving themselves to their activities. We are spending less time carrying around babies and toddlers. We're spending less time lifting grocery baskets, lifting laundry baskets, and even less time cleaning because we are not having to, follow them around, cleaning up messes, etc., etc. That actually causes a much more sedentary lifestyle. When you add in that the hormone fluctuations that I already mentioned in number one are likely causing increased fatigue and joint pain, you are probably less likely to be moving just because you're more tired and more sore and more achy. So that's going to actually lead to additional weight gain. The next one is not talked about as often as it should be, and that is that one of the symptoms of perimenopause and menopause is sarcopenia. And sarcopenia is a fancy way of saying loss of muscle mass. Due to our fluctuating and decreasing sex hormones, we actually experience a loss of muscle mass. This is important because muscle takes up less space in our bodies, meaning that even if our weight stays the same, we actually are bigger. Our pants are tighter, our clothes aren't fitting the way they used to. In addition to that, muscle actually causes an increase in metabolism. The reason is that it takes a lot more calories in your body to maintain muscle than it does to maintain fat. So even at rest, if you have a higher muscle composition, you burn more calories. So your body uses more energy just to maintain itself, even when you're sleeping, if you have more muscle. So as muscle mass decreases, our metabolism also naturally decreases. Number 4 is stress and cortisol. Now, I actually like to talk about stress and cortisol the same way that someone would talk about alcohol. And the reason why is because it helps to paint a picture of really what's happening here. So, we often talk about, I know in my 30s, anyways, I was talking about how in my late teens, early 20s, I could drink and not have the same kind of hangover. I would be able to stay out all night, stay up all night, be drinking, wake up the next day, go to work, go to school, do what I needed to do, right? Back when I was in college, I spent many times, right, going out and drinking or staying up really late or cramming for a test. And I could bounce back pretty quickly from that. Once I got into my 30s, I could no longer do that. And something very similar happens with stress and cortisol. You may have been able to relatively tolerate your chronic stress or acute stress levels when you were in your 20s, 30s, even your early 40s. Once you get into perimenopause and menopause and the hormone balance in your body starts changing, one, you start producing more cortisol under stress, and two, you become a lot more sensitive to it. So, where you could recover from that ongoing chronic stress once it was alleviated in your 20s or 30s, once you get into perimenopause or midlife, you are no longer recovering as well. Those cortisol levels tend to stay high and they tend to be more impactful. That increase in cortisol can impact everything from cravings to sleep habits to general energy levels, and that will cause an increase in weight. And number 5 is, of course, poor sleep. So there are so many reasons why you might be struggling with sleep when you are in perimenopause and menopause. Those reasons could be anything from night sweats to insomnia to disruptions in your circadian rhythm due to increases in cortisol. When we are not sleeping as well, we have more cravings and we tend to have more inflammation and we gain more weight. In addition, poor sleep causes increased fatigue, lack of energy to engage in activities. It increases our risk for injury and accidents, and it increases our risks for many, many diseases, including heart disease, certain types of cancer, metabolic diseases, diabetes, etc. So poor sleep is definitely a factor in why you're gaining weight in perimenopause and menopause. So let's talk about the 6 things you can do to start getting your weight under control, to actually manage your weight or reverse the weight gain. And those things are in no particular order. Number 1, balanced, nutrient dense diet. I see a lot of women go into perimenopause and menopause and they start gaining weight and they revert to some old habits they had in their 20s. Things like crash dieting or fad diets or reducing calories. Oftentimes, that is actually the very opposite of what you need to be doing. When you start doing crash diets, fad diets, or drastically reducing calories, you actually increase stress in your body, which means an increase in cortisol. So that can actually be counterproductive. It doesn't work anymore. And you've probably experienced that what you used to do no longer works. And this is part of why. So what we want to be focusing on instead of reducing calories is getting 30 to 40 grams of protein per meal. Yes, you heard that right. When you're in perimenopause and menopause, to maintain that muscle mass and to help you stay healthier and leaner, you need to be consuming somewhere in the neighborhood of 90 to around 125 grams of protein per day. There's a specific formula for your body, but if you just right now focus on 30 to 40 grams of protein in every meal, especially in breakfast, that's going to make a huge difference in reducing cravings and protecting that muscle mass. You also want to make sure that you're including healthy fats for satiety and also for brain and heart health, and plenty of fiber, which again helps with satiety, it helps with digestion, and it helps actually protect your microbiome from the changes that it experiences due to perimenopause and menopause. And you want to reduce processed foods, especially those that are high in sugar, refined carbohydrates, because oftentimes as we go into perimenopause and menopause, we start struggling with some insulin resistance, and those foods actually exacerbate that. And reduce or eliminate alcohol, which causes systemic inflammation, and also causes weight gain. Number two is exercising regularly. Now, again, this is probably something that you've tried. You probably went back to what you were doing before that has worked in your younger years, and got into some really intense cardio. So, this is for all of you like me who absolutely hate running with the maddest of passions. You don't need to run. We actually want to focus on zone 2 cardio. So, we're talking about walking, dancing, things of that nature. Now, listen, if you've been a runner your whole life, you are likely going to be staying in zone 2 if you're doing a light run or a jog. So, feel free to do that. But if you haven't been a runner, this is not the time to start. The key in perimenopause and menopause is to really prioritize strength training. This could be body weight strength training, but generally over time, you want to start increasing weight and lifting heavier and heavier if that's something that works for you. Some of us at this stage in our lives start having some joint problems and issues. So we want to be really mindful of listening to our bodies, reducing the likelihood of injury, and starting off nice and slow with body weight exercises. Strength training is super important because it helps you to not only keep the muscle mass you have, but to build more muscle. And remember that having more muscle mass actually helps you with speeding up your metabolism. Now, in addition to that, having more muscle mass helps to prevent injury and protects your bones, which is a very big concern as you go into perimenopause and menopause. You also want to be including some sort of balance, flexibility training, and make sure that you're stretching. This is actually to help prevent injury again, and it will help to reduce your stress level. So even just having a little bit of a cool down at the end of your workout, or including single leg exercises. Dancing is really great for balance exercise, and making sure that you're incorporating some sort of balance and flexibility into your routine really matters. And that leads us right into number three. Number three is stress management. We really want to make sure that we are mindful of our stress levels when we are in perimenopause and menopause. And that often means setting boundaries. Yes, this might be the first time you've ever done it. Taking a pause before agreeing to things that are going to stretch you way too thin, and prioritizing relaxation, alone time, self-care, and then always, always knowing that when we're experiencing ongoing chronic stress or acute stress, leaning into breath work and meditation is going to be really helpful. You can find loads and loads of videos on YouTube, with breathing techniques, tapping techniques, guided meditation, etc., that will help you reduce your stress level. So absolutely check those out and get that into your daily routine, that you are doing things to manage your stress. Number 4 is improve the quality of your sleep. Now, this might be easier said than done, especially in perimenopause. Things you really want to focus on here is reducing nighttime screen time. We become a lot more sensitive to blue light at night. which can really mess with our circadian rhythms, which are already kind of messed with by these cortisol changes. So you really want to reduce that blue light at night. Potentially consider using a light box or getting natural sunlight first thing in the morning when you wake up. That light box, you want to be 10,000 lux. That's what you're looking for. You'll use it for about 15 to 20 minutes when you first wake up. It's a great thing to kind of incorporate into your morning routine. Set it up while you drink your cup of coffee, while you're brushing your teeth, that type of thing. You don't have to just sit under it and do nothing. You can actually do your other morning routine components while using your light. And you also want to have a really solid bedtime routine with really good sleep hygiene. Good sleep hygiene means that you're going to sleep at the same time every day, you're waking up at the same time every day. I highly recommend my R&R bedtime routine, especially if you are a natural night owl. You can check out all of my bedtime routine videos here on YouTube. I have a ton of them to help you create your perfect bedtime routine, whether you're a night owl or a morning person, or potentially right now you're struggling with both. So make sure that you check those out. You'll also want to make sure that you are prepared for what I consider to be the beast of perimenopause symptoms, because it so dramatically impacts your sleep, which is night sweats. So using wicking fabrics or cooling fabrics for your sheets, your pajamas, those Soma cool pajamas work like a charm. Potentially setting out an extra pair of pajamas to make it easier to change if you wake up from sweating, keeping your room nice and cool, using a fan or even the air conditioner can really make a big difference to the quality of sleep you're getting. I also really like Focal CBD gummies. Those have been really helpful for me to sleep. Number 5 is hydrate. Hydrate, hydrate, hydrate. I cannot say this enough. And when you're in perimenopause and menopause, it's actually very helpful to hydrate with electrolytes. So I like to do an electrolyte drink first thing in the morning because you always wake up dehydrated from not drinking while you're sleeping. And then I continue to drink water throughout the day. A good rule of thumb is you want to drink half of your weight in pounds in ounces of water a day. So if you weigh 150 pounds, you're looking at 75 ounces of water a day. Make sure that you get at least 1 glass of electrolyte water in your day, and you will feel so much better. Starting your day with water, especially starting your day with electrolyte water, will drastically impact your energy level and your focus and concentration throughout the entire day. The number one symptom of being dehydrated is not thirst, it's fatigue. So some of your fatigue in perimenopause is actually being caused by dehydration. And in this time in our lives, we become much more sensitive to dehydration. And number 6 is supplements. Utilizing supplements like magnesium, especially magnesium glycinate at nighttime to sleep, omega-3s, which help regulate mood, probiotics, which again safeguard our gut microbiome, and B-complex so that we have more energy throughout the day to do the things like exercising and meal prepping and things like that, can make a huge difference. Make sure that you're getting your supplements from a reputable brand that has third-party testing. I like to use brands like Rootology, Thorne, and Pure Encapsulations. All of them can be found on Amazon. All of them were recommended to me by my naturopath and my functional medicine doctor because of their purity and testing standards. So you want to check out those particular supplements. Those may help you with things like sleeping, energy, mood regulation, symptom management, and of course, gut health, bloating, things like that. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. I'm going to be digging deep into how to manage perimenopause and menopause and how to reclaim your midlife so that you can live your very best life. I'll see you all next time. Bye, everyone.